Coming up, ICE raids in Chicago, protests in the street. Neighbors respond to the latest round of immigration arrests. From the CTA running out of money to busted stations on Metra, local transit showing signs of stress. And Jake Tapper's book tour reaches Chicago, his one-on-one with Paris Schutz. Plus, making the most of digital coupons, thinking twice about using airport phone chargers, and some tiny state in New England says they're America's pizza capital. We investigate their obvious delusions. This is your Fox 32 Chicago Week in Review.
Mayor Brandon Johnson is calling this a reckless and dangerous escalation by ICE agents. And tonight, attorneys for the undocumented immigrants who were taken say their children are left without parents after they thought they were doing the right thing by coming here when asked. With tensions on the rise nationwide, turmoil in the South Loop, where as many as 10 people were taken by ICE, loaded into a van, and driven away under a cloud of confusion and fear.
It's just an attempt to get numbers, nothing more. A lot of the people here are in asylum proceedings.
In recent days, text messages like this one were sent. It reads in part, "Your ICE officer has asked you to come to the office for a review of your case this week." So they reported here to the Department of Homeland Security's Intensive Supervision Appearance Program office near Cermak and Michigan.
When they go inside the building, automatically they've been arrested. Really sad.
The site is used for case management.
These are people who came to renew their work permits and were abducted.
Attorneys like Cynthia Fernandez say they were separated from their clients. Fernandez tells us the woman she represents is a mother of 3 who believed the check-in would be routine and even brought her Bible.
Just hearing them cry, I don't know if it was her, but the women were crying, and it's just horrible because I couldn't do anything.
As word from attorneys inside reached elected officials, advocates gathered outside.
In a Gestapo fashion, 50 agents or so walked down the street, stood right here in front of the driveway, then aggressively came through, knocked me down, assaulted me and other community members here today.
A large group tried to stop the van from leaving, but was unsuccessful. They are decrying the Trump administration and its tactics.
He is leaving behind children.
We're seeing families being separated and torn apart.
Now, heartbreak and confusion for the people ripped away so suddenly and their loved ones left behind.
Yolanda, she is in appeals in the 7th Circuit, should not have been taken in. Her daughter is now alone.
Right now, we need the moral clarity and courage to fight back against these harmful, evil policies.
Retail groups today say it's sort of like death by 1,000 cuts. Governor Pritzker essentially put cities like Chicago in a trick box here. He eliminated the 1% grocery tax as part of his budget. The money used to be distributed to local governments. Now, these governments have to decide, do they put that tax back or try to figure out how to make up for the lost revenue? Now, the Illinois Retail Merchants Association says this, on top of a potential delivery fee and credit card swipe fee, are too much for grocers to handle.
Message is that, they have to consider the consumer. The retailer considers the consumer every day. Grocery, as you know, is one of the most narrow profit margins of all the industries that are out there, but particularly in retail. And so they really have no place else to go with this. That's something that has to get passed on to the consumer. So it really comes down again to, are the city leaders, is the mayor and the city council willing to impose yet another financial pressure on their consumers?
Now, the city has until October to decide what to do, and the tax will expire in January. Mayor Johnson's budget team has said city council members will need to reinstate this tax or risk blowing an even bigger hole into what's expected to be more than $1 billion budget gap next year.
The grocery tax already exists. There is a process in which the collection of the grocery tax is now being placed in the responsibility of municipalities, right? So it was a function that the state of Illinois decided to relinquish and leave it to the cities to collect the tax. So we're not creating a grocery tax, we're just creating a process by which we can collect it.
Now, there are 100 or so other municipalities around the region that will reinstate this grocery tax, or at least try. We spoke with the Republican mayor of Orland Park, who said he has no choice. It blows too big a hole into the budget. Illinois House Speaker Chris Welch explains why he put the brakes on that massive transit funding bill. But he says riders fear not. There's still time to come to a solution.
It's important to take our time and get it right and not rush and get it wrong.
The massive overhaul that would consolidate power over CTA, Pace, and Metra and provide new tax revenue in the form of rideshare and delivery fees passed the Senate. Welch says he's not sold on that tax part of it quite yet.
In the House, we have not talked about a way to fund the transit system because we were committed to getting the reforms done first. And so the Senate knew that the bill that they were proposing and sent over to the House, that it would be dead on arrival, because we hadn't even discussed funding sources in the House.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson agreed that the bill needs work and says lawmakers should rethink how they'll fund it.
It's going to take all of us to come together to come up with a revenue package that protects a public accommodation.
House members will now need a supermajority of 71 votes to pass anything during a special or fall session. But doomsday doesn't technically arrive until the end of the year. Welch says that's enough time to get everyone on the same track.
The fundings for the system doesn't run out until December 31st. That's another reason why we have the time to take our time and do it right.
And Speaker Welch is facing some heat tonight after a report that the House approved $40 million in state money for a new sports complex at Proviso West High School, which happens to be his alma mater. In a statement, spokesperson John Maxson said the Speaker has approved projects all over the state and says this one will, quote, fund a new sports complex that will serve the entire community and surrounding area by supporting student athletics, community events, and opportunities for local business.
The suspect, who police say set peaceful pro-Israel demonstrators on fire in Boulder, Colorado, told investigators that he researched and planned for a year. Mohammed Solomon also said he specifically targeted a, quote, Zionist group. The 45-year-old has been charged with a federal hate crime. Solomon is an Egyptian national who overstayed his visa.
The president is going to ensure that this individual is held to the fullest extent of the law.
There's a big push right now on ICE to go ahead and identify all these individuals that have overstayed their visas. We want to go ahead and we make sure we take these bad actors out of the country before anything like this could happen.
Police released a mugshot of Solomon, and you can see a large bandage on his right ear. According to witnesses, he hurt himself during the attack.
He threw another cocktail, and on the second one, he lit himself on fire. After he lit himself on fire, he took off the vest and the shirt, and he was shirtless.
An FBI affidavit says police found at least 14 unlit Molotov cocktails at the scene, but authorities think Solomon acted alone. With the recent increase in anti-Semitic violence, the White House is assuring the Jewish community they are safe.
Rest assured to all Jewish Americans across our great country, this president has your back, and he's not going to allow anyone to take part in violent terrorism.
Solomon is being held on a $10 million bond.
Essentially, whoever used the auto pen was the president. And that is wrong. It's illegal.
President Trump is now ordering his White House counsel to investigate whether President Biden's staff was using an auto pen without his knowledge to sign important documents. It's a machine that can replicate a person's signature, and it's legal for presidents to use. But Republicans want to know if Biden knew what was being signed, as questions over his health during his final days in office grow.
We've identified the 4 staffers that we believe were the ones who actually took the documents and placed them in the auto pen, pressed power, and had Joe Biden's signature magically appear on these. We want to know who gave them the authority to do that.
House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer has requested interviews with those staffers, as well as high-ranking Biden officials. Much of the scrutiny is on a number of last-minute pardons that appear to be signed by AutoPen, except for his son Hunter's, which appears to be signed by hand.
The idea of focusing on President Biden is a way of distracting from Donald Trump's efforts to completely undermine our democracy.
Former President Biden also calls it a distraction, saying in a statement, Let me be clear, I made the decisions during my presidency. I made the decisions about the pardons, executive orders, legislation, and proclamations. Any suggestion that I didn't is ridiculous and false.
These are the political stunts that Americans are fed up with.
President Trump was asked in March if he's ever used an auto pen as president. He said he had, but only for a few very unimportant papers.
The bill is passed.
After passing the House by just one vote, President Trump's agenda-setting Big Beautiful Bill faces a skeptical Senate.
I'm for the tax cuts. I am for a lot of the bill, but I can't in good conscience give up every principle that I stand for and every principle that I was elected upon.
Senator Rand Paul says the bill will add $5 trillion to the debt ceiling. Posting to Truth Social, President Trump wrote, quote, Rand votes no on everything, but never has any practical or constructive ideas. His ideas are actually crazy, losers.
Those senators, it's not news that they disagree with this president on policy.
Other Republicans are signaling they won't simply rubber stamp the bill.
Just like 215 House members put their thumbprints on it, we want to be able to put ours on it as well.
Now free from his White House post targeting waste, Elon Musk is making his stance clear, posting to X, quote, this massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong, you know it. And Democrats are still united against it.
Behind the smoke and mirrors lies a cruel and draconian truth. Tax breaks for the ultra-wealthy, paid for by gutting health care for millions of Americans.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune says it is still his goal to have the bill on President Trump's desk by July 4th, just 1 month away. President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill has caused a big, ugly breakup with Elon Musk.
Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if it went well anymore.
Musk, upset with the bill's size and potential to expand the deficit, wrote on X, without me, Trump would have lost the election. And later, Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Turning to his own platform, Truth Social, Trump said, quote, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. Trump suggested another way to cut billions in spending, terminating Musk's government contracts. The spat is rippling through the halls of Congress, where Republican leaders are trying to pass the president's key piece of legislation with waning support.
The math always wins over the words. And I trust the math from the guy that lands rockets backwards over the politicians.
We follow Donald Trump. I mean, he's the one that got elected.
The Trump-Musk friendship has fallen a long way from appearances together on the campaign trail and inside the Oval Office. Musk has now gone from major donor to seemingly agreeing with a post saying Trump should be impeached. The future of the budget bill has grown more uncertain. Any changes made in the Senate will still have to be approved in the House.
Coming up, Jake Tapper, one-on-one with our parish shuts. Big changes coming to Midway Airport. And Connecticut makes the country's best pizza? We'll see about that. Parish Shuts takes you behind closed doors.
It's time for the mayor to let folks into his closet.
There's no conflict of interest there at all. Beneath the headlines.
I'd love to think that this was going to end political corruption in Illinois, but it won't.
And beyond the political spin.
Is this a role that you like, going on the attack?
I'm not somebody who looks for conflict, but sometimes the conflict shows up at your door.
Paris on Politics on Fox 32. Your expert take on the political issues affecting you.
New rule, if you're going to do a show in Chicago, go on Fox.
This weekend, kick back and catch up with Fox 32 on Fox Local. Recap the week's must-know news.
A Chicago police officer trying his best to capture this coyote.
Relive Fox 32's best.
Today, I'm taking you on the Chicago water taxi.
Plus the latest political and sports buzz.
Why pick this fight with the governor who you need?
Let's talk about championship weekend.
Watch live or anytime on demand Weekends at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Download now on these streaming services.
The issue here specifically in Hazel Crest is apparently tied to the installation of a new transformer, and it indeed is a big headache for those people who need and rely on the elevator. Now, here at the Hazel Crest Metro Electric Station has been out of service since last November, and for seniors, expectant moms, and those with physical disabilities, it's beyond an inconvenience. It also violates ADA mandates for public transportation. Now, we're talking 33 stairs. That's what commuters are tackling here, coming and going to reach the train platform and street level. But this isn't the only station impacted. According to Metra's online service alerts, currently elevators at the Harvey, 51st, 53rd, also Van Buren and Michigan Street stations are out of service as well. So you tell me about your commute. You take the train to downtown, or where do you go?
I take the train to work every day, which is located in Streeterville.
Okay. Talk about, just your thoughts about the elevator not working since November.
Well, I'm a senior. I take the stairs, but for the ones that are not able to take the stairs, I really feel bad for those group of people. Yes, because there is quite a bit of stairs to take, so it would be a hardship for those that are not able to acclimate the stairs. 6 months is a little extensive.
Long time.
One would think it would be any work needed to be done would be completed by that time.
And according to a statement, Metra tells us the service outage here in Hazel Crest is, quote, due to Metra-owned transformer supplying power to the elevator. They said we started the transformer in December. However, the procurement is taking an extended time. Metra says we're working to identify faster ways to procure parts and reduce the length of outages. Now, Metra has not provided a timeline on when the elevator will be fixed. They are telling customers to choose alternate stations.
It's already one of the more controversial books of the year, documenting shocking episodes of the former president's mental decline and alleged efforts from his inner circle to shield that condition from the public. And I sat down with the authors, journalists Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, this morning, and they talked about the Chicago connections to this story. One of them, a fundraiser at a wealthy Chicago donor's house, where some of the high-profile attendees were shocked at what they witnessed.
It's only like 40 or 50 people, and the press isn't there. And still, there's a teleprompter for him just to make 10 minutes of remarks. And the hosts of the fundraiser balked initially about, well, we don't need a teleprompter here. But they were told by the advance team for the Biden campaign, you have to have it. He needs it. And that's odd. And Bill Daley is there, and he sees this, and he thinks, what is going on?
Bill Daley, of course, the son of former Mayor Richard J. Daley. Now, the book reveals a systemic effort from Biden's inner circle to shield the public from his true condition, keeping him out of the limelight and attacking reporters that tried to investigate it. Tapper says the book also serves as a wake-up call to some in the mainstream media who perhaps failed to cover the full extent of what was happening, something that has received quite a bit of criticism in conservative media circles.
Knowing what we know now, having been able to talk to more than 200 people and get the real skinny, having been able to talk to cabinet secretaries who told us that by the end of Biden's presidency, they don't think he could be relied upon for that proverbial 2 a.m. phone call in the middle of the night for an emergency national security issue, that he couldn't be relied upon for that is stunning. So, yes, the press could have done better.
Authorities are calling this the busiest square mile in aviation. And with the summer travel season underway, Midway Airport is undergoing safety improvements. The $47 million rehabilitation of runway 13 Center, 31 Center includes repairing the main runway and its intersecting taxiways.
They'll install new runway guard lights and a roadway to support airport rescue and firefighting efforts in event of an emergency. This was planned long before the near collision captured on video in February. While attempting to land, a Southwest Airlines pilot saw a private plane crossing the runway. He pulled up and avoided catastrophe. Runway safety improvements come at a good time and go with all the other improvements inside the airport.
We are ready for all the passengers that are coming through. Aside from the enhancements that we're doing here on the runway, there's all the enhancements that we've done inside of the airport in our concessions program, and so we're excited to have people come through Midway.
This project is a strategic investment in Midway's infrastructure, not just for today's travel volumes, but for demand in years ahead.
Today is more than just a launch of a construction project. It is confirmation that we are building Midway's bright future. I look forward to the continued work and improvements and the growth through the Midway's 5-year capital plan.
They'll try to minimize the inconvenience to passengers. Most of the construction will be done at night.
And it's not just NYPD. Police in LA, Miami, and DC are all increasing security at Jewish religious sites right now after this attack. In fact, you can see police outside the Temple Emmanuel right now, which is one of the nation's largest synagogues. NYPD says police, again, are increasing security right now out of precaution during the Jewish holiday. The law enforcement presence here includes police officers, heavy weapons teams, and canines. Now, police made the decision after the terror attack in Colorado Sunday, where 12 Jews were attacked during a demonstration calling for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza. This rabbi with Temple Village in New York tells us the synagogue has hired its own private security.
Security is a significant percentage of our budget. Security is a major focus of Jewish leaders throughout the country. It's certainly not what I trained for. I became a rabbi. It's not what we learned in rabbinical school, but it's been an unfortunate and necessary area to become an expert in.
In the last decade, the Jewish community has seen a nearly 900% increase in anti-Semitic attacks across the U.S. And according to the Anti-Defamation League, almost 10,000 attacks happened last year. We're told the increased security will go through the Jewish holiday, which ends after 9 p.m. tonight. But some synagogues here in the city tell us they'll continue that security even after on their own dime.
2 Chinese nationals are facing charges for allegedly smuggling a dangerous fungus into America. Prosecutors say it's a potential agro-terrorism weapon that could be toxic for crops like wheat, barley, and rice. It can also cause vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive defects in humans and livestock.
Agro-terrorism, bioterrorism, thankfully so rare, but requires constant vigilance to ensure that it stays rare.
According to the complaint, customs officials found the fungus stashed in the backpack of a Chinese man traveling through Detroit Metropolitan Airport. The man told officials he wanted to conduct research on it at the University of Michigan, where his girlfriend worked. A deeper search revealed a document titled 2018 Plant Pathogen Warfare Under Changing Climate Conditions on the man's cell phone. A later search of his girlfriend's phone uncovered a form describing her membership in the Chinese Communist Party. That prompted the FBI's involvement. Director Kash Patel tells Fox News in part, quote, smuggling a known agro-terrorism agent into the U.S. is not just a violation of law, it's a direct threat to national security. Meanwhile, experts say it's still too early to call this a threat.
Yes, this is a plant pathogen, but it's also one that is distributed globally. The problem is that it could be a little bit different to what we already have here, and that's why it should have been brought in under regulated permits.
In a statement, the University of Michigan says it's cooperating with law enforcement and says it has not received any funding from China's government in relation to these individuals.
The pandemic is over, but COVID remains a threat, and over the weekend, the FDA issued final approval for a new type of vaccine. It's from Moderna, a next-generation shot that allows for a lower dose by refining its targeting system. But the feds put limits on who can use it, saying it's only approved for Americans over 65 or those between the ages of 12 and 64 with underlying health problems.
We don't see the data there to support a young, healthy child
getting a repeat infinite annual COVID vaccine.
It comes just a few days after health officials appeared to backtrack on making COVID vaccines widely available. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the shots would no longer be recommended for children and pregnant women. But just days later, the CDC reversed course and said the shots may be given in consultation with a doctor.
The CDC data is contaminated with a lot of false positives from incidental positive COVID tests.
The crackdown on vaccines is raising fears that Kennedy could try to restrict access to other shots as well.
We've gone from 3 to 29 vaccines in the first year of life, including in utero, and those have not been placebo tested.
And some local officials are saying it's starting to have an impact on overall public health.
We're always watching and doing our best to mitigate, to prevent and mitigate disease in our community, and it feels like you're fighting an uphill battle.
The changes to the CDC's recommendations mean insurance companies are still required to cover COVID vaccines for now.
Another deadly night of Russian airstrikes on Ukraine. At least 5 civilians killed, including a 1-year-old child. It comes as NATO defense ministers are meeting to discuss beefing up security and aid to Ukraine. But U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who skipped an earlier meeting on supporting Ukraine, once again teased a possible pivot away from Europe, saying that he's reviewing America's overall force posture.
America can't be everywhere all the time, nor should we be. And so there are reasons why we have troops in certain places, and we respect and understand that.
The Ukrainians say they're still confident they have America's support, and now they're pushing for new U.S. sanctions that could make it more difficult for Russian President Vladimir Putin to resupply his army.
We are very much looking for the new sanctions, and it's necessary to create right atmosphere. Then Russia go to negotiation.
Meanwhile, we're learning more about that surprise Ukrainian attack on Russia's long-range bombers. In this newly released video, you can see the drones circling, hovering over their targets, and even landing on the bombers. The Ukrainians also hit a bridge in Crimea and a series of railways in eastern Russia. And now Putin is threatening to stay away from the ceasefire talks until the sabotage attacks stop.
They are asking for a meeting at the highest level, but how can any such meetings be conducted under such circumstances?
After their phone call, President Trump said that Russian President Vladimir Putin told him that he is planning to retaliate after these recent attacks.
Coming up, making the most of digital coupons, thinking twice about using airport phone chargers, and Connecticut claims they're America's pizza capital. See why they're totally wrong.
The power of duos.
Fox Wednesday, double Gordon.
Look at this place. You have to be kidding me. Damn.
Means double trouble.
Stop cooking. This restaurant is closed.
First, MasterChef Dynamic Duos heats up.
2 is better than 1. I'm expecting fireworks.
Then on Secret Service, Gordon's on a mission to save struggling restaurants.
So gross. You should be ashamed.
I'm not ashamed of the 4.6 rating.
There's rat droppings everywhere. Where's that on your rating?
All new MasterChef Dynamic Duos, followed by Gordon Ramsay's Secret Service, Wednesday on Fox.
Have you ever charged your phone at one of the USB ports here in the airport?
I have, and I need to again right now.
Many airline travelers taking advantage of the convenience charging cell phones at public USB ports located inside the terminal while waiting for a flight. But it might not be safe. You see, the Transportation Security Administration now issuing a warning. The TSA says hackers can install malware at USB ports, stealing your personal data. It's known as port jacking.
That's something that is really dangerous, and so I'm going to not do that this time.
When you plug into these airport devices, when they're first installed, they're fine. But people go through the airport, they plug things into them, and then you plug into them, and then you become the victim.
Danny Jenkins is a cybersecurity expert.
You put it in between the USB device and you plug it in, the attacker plugs something bad in, you plug your thing in, and suddenly it's presenting as a keyboard to your device, or it can push you to an app store app that's malicious onto your phone. So you've got to be super careful when you're plugging into external USB ports.
So what is the safest thing to do at the airport when you're traveling? Well, cybersecurity experts that I talk to tell me it's pretty simple. Using your own plug and your own cord, all you got to do is plug it right into an electrical outlet like this one.
It's, I guess, a little scary, but I don't know. I bring my own stuff, but I just plug it into the wall, I guess.
Even after we told them about the TSA warning, these travelers admitting they would probably still take the risk in a public USB port if their cell phone was low on power. What happens? Are you going to do it anyway if you need charge?
Probably. I'll need it to catch an Uber when I get home, so if I didn't have power, yes.
The TSA suggests getting around this problem by bringing your own portable charging device with you when you travel.
When it comes to using digital coupons, it seems like you either love them or hate them. Just take a look at some of the online comments we got from Fox 32 Chicago viewers. We even asked Chicago's self-proclaimed city coupon mom what she thinks about them.
It's super convenient, but as always, there's always issues as far as app not working, crashing, glitches.
Even Rosie Kiyomala says she's had problems with coupons not applying correctly at checkout or not loading. So how does she try to deal with these digital issues?
If you have a community that helps online, that helps what shows, if not, it can be very frustrating and confusing in store when it's not working.
Rosie says she started City Coupon Mom about 10 years ago to help people save by showing them digital coupon deals.
Yes, I get a tons of questions.
State Representative Janet Yang Rower was also hearing from consumers about how it can be hard to use digital coupons. That's why she wrote and introduced a new bill earlier this year to try to fix the problem.
So House Bill 45, it basically would require a grocery store, if they offer a digital coupon, that they have to have a paper version as well.
Yang Rohr's bill also requires grocery stores to make those paper coupons easily accessible at the service desk and in other locations around the store. If stores don't make paper coupons available in addition to digital coupons under the proposed law, the store would be violating the state's Consumer Fraud Act.
What we want to make sure is if you're going to advertise that price, you better be able to give that price.
And unfortunately, the people who need these savings the most, the poor, the elderly, aren't able to get them. But another problem is, even when you jump through all the hoops to get these discounts, we're finding that a lot of stores, they don't work properly.
Kevin Brassler is the executive editor for Consumers Checkbook. His consumer advocacy group recently did a deep dive to see if digital coupons are paying off for shoppers.
We find that often the lowest price wasn't attributed to our account, even though we wanted it, and we have to go to customer service and have them make adjustments. We spoke to one manager at a grocery store who said, "This is all I do all day now, is make price adjustments."
Brassler says digital coupons is an issue many consumer groups have been complaining about from the beginning, one that stores used to fix with a price adjustment.
Well, we find it's largely hit or miss now, and that at many stores, now they're just refusing to do it. If you don't take the steps you needed to take to get the special price, then no, they're not going to let you have it.
Yang Rohr's bill was introduced to the Consumer Protection Committee in February and then passed on to the State House Rules Committee in March. It has since met some industry opposition.
And so in this case, we've gotten some feedback from like Illinois retail merchants talking about how difficult it would be for their stores to implement this. They have said things like, if this law comes into place, coupons will disappear, which just seems a little over the top.
Consumers will find out if that's true or not based on what's happening in San Diego. Its city council passed an ordinance in March that also says coupons cannot be offered in digital form only. California grocers say this ordinance is too vague and will cause more harm than good the way it's written now.
We'd have to have a paper copy in the store. There's thousands and thousands of different types of coupons and discounts that people receive digitally, and we would physically not be able to go and prepare those all in store just for anybody to grab at any time.
You've probably seen the drawing. The Chicago Fire ready to make some big moves. The team's owner, Joe Mansueto, revealed those beautiful plans in black and white to build a new stadium in Chicago's 78 neighborhood. Nearly every sports team in Chicago wants to make a stadium change, but the Fire is the first team to reveal the official plans. Mark Gannis with Sports Corp Limited is here to weigh in on this subject this morning. Mark, thanks for being here, coming in the rain. First of all, what were your thoughts when you heard that the Fire came out with this beautiful square structure? It's a good move. Is it going to sell?
Yeah, this will sell, and the local politician should grab it before he changes his mind. It's really great for him, meaning that for the Chicago Fire to have their own facility. It's a small facility, 22,000 seats. It's the right size for today.
For soccer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
For today. Maybe a decade from now, they might have wished they made it bigger, but for today, it's the right size. Mm-hmm. Great location. It's a place where people can walk to. It's a place where they can get to with mass transit. And the stadium's going to be full every game versus Soldier Field, where the place is empty. Versus
it doesn't look as good.
Yep.
Now the White Sox were also looking to maybe do something there in the 78. Is this an opportunity lost for the Sox?
No, it's not.
Okay.
They can actually build a White Sox stadium there as well. There's enough land. They'll have to share infrastructure, parking, work out the calendars. It wouldn't be the first time this has been done. In New York, actually, right now, there's a new soccer stadium being built for NYCFC. That's the New York City MLS team. Mm-hmm. And it's being built right across the street from Citi Field, where the Mets play.
Yeah.
Yep. So this kind of complex, absolutely, it can be done. There's enough room on the site for it. It'll limit some of the additional development that Related Midwest has been looking to do there, but it absolutely can be done, and it would be great for the White Sox. Because where they are right now, they basically are in a walled-off area. People can't walk to the games. We know here in Chicago, one of the great advantages to Wrigley Field is people can walk to it. They can take the CTA. It's easy to come in, out.
That whole neighborhood vibe.
It's beautiful. So even when the team really is poor on the field, they still draw over 3 million people because it's a gathering place. The White Sox don't have that. They really need that in order to be successful.
What kind of a political message is this sending to the other owners? Mansueto says, "I'll just write you a check for $650." What about the Sox and the Bears? Trying to deal with politicians. This doesn't look good for them.
Well, it's really interesting. We tend to think that the team owners keep asking for public money to build these stadiums. We actually have the history here in Chicago is different. The United Center, privately built with private money on private land.
A lot of people forgot that. Mm-hmm.
Wrigley Field, all the billion-plus renovations at Wrigley Field, private money, private land. The Bears said they will pay for their own stadium. They said they'll use private money to build a stadium. Now, the reason that was so expensive on the lakefront was because of all of the other costs associated with that site, of the infrastructure with that site, and trying to make it fit the Lakefront Protection Ordinance. Mm-hmm. Whereas all they're asking for in Arlington Heights is basically infrastructure and tax certainty. But they're willing to pay for the stadium themselves. So we actually have a history of the team owners stepping up here. And we should also give Joe Mansueto, his background story, some props here. This is a guy from northern Indiana, moved to Chicago, started a newsletter for the finance industry in his apartment, and is now a multi-billionaire, self-made, and is stepping up to make this investment right here in Chicago.
Real quick, 10 seconds. What happens at Soldier Field if the Fire and the Bears are gone?
They need to really think about what its future is going to be. First thing they need to think about is stop spending a lot of money on that building. Have it for a few concerts every year during the summer, and then use the interior spaces that they built out for the Bears. But stop spending a ton of money. Stop trying to make it something it's not. It's a 100-year-old building. We've gotten a lot of good use out of it already.
Yes, we have.
Move on. It's time to move on.
Coming up, the connection between this bunny and these frogs. A visit from Dr. Mike. And does this look like the country's best pizza to you? No, it doesn't.
The world-famous famous thin crust pizza right here in New York, but apparently to get the very best pizza, you're going to have to go across state lines, or at least that's what we're seeing now in a new ad campaign from Connecticut. Of course, the state's tourism team is trolling New York City with billboards popping up saying Connecticut has the nation's best pizza, not you, New York. And we found the fight does not stop here. The ad campaign is also targeting other pizza hotspots, calling out Detroit, saying music, cars, and Motown, that's all you, but the nation's best pizza, that's us. Then in New Jersey, the nation's best pizza, not you, Jersey. And also, you guys in Chicago, you weren't safe either. The ad also says deep dish is good, but definitely not pizza.
So I think we are putting a flag in the ground, telling everybody, hey, don't sleep on Connecticut. In fact, we have the nation's best pizza, not necessarily you. It's playful, it's in jest. I know some people are taking it personally. They shouldn't. It's a food fight.
So we decided to do a little bit of our own research here and ask pizza lovers ourselves here in the Big Apple who has the best pizza. And we found some New Yorkers were actually debating who has the best.
I'm from New York. I want to be loyal, but at the end of the day, it's all about New Haven pizza. Like, Detroit pizza's great, Chicago pizza's great, but the battle really is New York, Connecticut, and I feel like New Haven's got the good stuff.
That does sound a little bit crazy because me personally, I've never heard much about Connecticut pizza. You know, it's all talk about New York. I don't know. They think they're up here, but they're probably down here. So.
And New York's tourism team told us that New Yorkers know our pizza is supreme, but Connecticut can keep trying. I will also add that we did reach out to Chicago's team as well, so we did not hear back, but I figured your people could talk to their people, and we could definitely get to the bottom of this. We'll send it back to you.
It's not a debate for us.
Yeah. But at the same time, I want to try New Haven pizza. I want to know what it is. I know every region has a thing. Caroline, have you tried New Haven pizza ever, or is that still on your list?
Anthony, that is definitely on my list. From reviews, though, I've heard it's more of a burnt. They've described it as more of a charred pizza, but I heard it's very crispy. So could be good, but definitely not better than deep dish. I'll say this to stay friends with you guys in Chicago.
There we go.
Thank you. Stay on Chicago's good side.
I did Google it, and it does look like it's charred on the bottom, like that cracker bottom.
But we have Pequods that's charred. Yeah.
Turns out that cuddling has some serious health benefits. A new study finds that couples who drift off while snuggling have significantly lower stress levels and a stronger emotional bond. Researchers also say cuddling before you fall asleep didn't lead to any sleep disturbances. Fox Medical Team's Dr. Mike joins us live. I can think of no one else whom I'd rather talk to about cuddling than Dr. Mike. All right, let's get to the science behind this thing, Dr. Mike. Is this for real?
Oh, yes. And I remember about 2,000 years ago when I was in college. Remember this picture? Maybe you don't. Dr. Harlow. What he did was he took rhesus monkeys and he proved how important it is to have that tactile stimulation. And he got the rhesus monkey to hug a surrogate mother with terry cloth around it. And it was that comfort that was so important for early development. But it doesn't stop there, Mike. It goes on later in life. So if you're in a relationship and you're together at night and you cuddle, all right, it's going to improve the relationship, make you feel more secure, lower your stress, lower blood pressure, make you just feel much better, both physically and mentally. You know what I call it? Hot monogamy, buddy. Right there.
All right. Would this work with a stuffed animal and a terry cloth thing also? Like it did for the rhesus monkey?
I told you not to talk about what I do. Stop it.
We've seen the YouTube videos, Dr. Mike. Come on.
But believe it or not, I am married. Some people think I just rent a family, but it's not true. All right, so look, the bottom line is, if you're in a committed long-term relationship,
right,
you gotta feed the fire, you gotta water the plant, you gotta invest, because if you don't, you're going to end up like one of those silent divorces where, you know, it looks like you're married, but I sleep in the basement, they sleep over there. That's not cool. You don't want that.
I love all the metaphors you just put into play there, Dr. Mike. That's terrific. All right, let's move on here. Vitamin D, the solar vitamin. This might be doing more than just supporting bone health. We all know that it's good for that. It could also help the body age more slowly. There's a new study that reveals that taking vitamin D supplements may protect against biological aging by slowing the shortening of telomeres. These are tiny caps on DNA that erode as we get older. Of course, I have no intention of getting older, Dr. Mike, but how does the vitamin D thing really work on the DNA to prevent us from getting old?
Well, I had to find my genes. I found them. All right? See that? This is a chromosome here. See these little guys? They're called telomeres. You mentioned it. And basically what they do is they prevent damage when that DNA replicates, when the cells rejuvenate, they replicate. And so what happens is, as we age, not you, but all of the rest of us, our telomeres get shorter. And what this study found was that vitamin D actually reduced the shortening, and it may be a key to looking at longevity. That's why a lot of these anti-aging products and people recommend vitamin D. It's not only good for that, but it also is good for your bones, reduces inflammation. If you're pre-diabetic, it might help reduce the risk of becoming diabetic. There's a lot of data on vitamin D. I'm a believer. Have you had your vitamin D checked?
I have not, but I'm a routine milk drinker. I feel like I'm getting enough vitamin D. What should I get it checked?
Hard to get it in the diet, especially because you guys are far from the equator. And we don't like you getting out in the sun, getting sunburned. That's where you get a lot of vitamin D. Hard to get it in the diet. I'll bet you that you have a little bit of a low vitamin D, and you should take about 25 micrograms or 1,000 units a day of vitamin D3.
Okay.
Vitamin D3, and that'll help your telomeres. Not that your telomeres need any help at all, let me tell you.
The Athletes Unlimited Softball League is kicking off a new season this weekend in Rosemont. Joining me now is AUSL Chief Growth Officer Allie Cleva. Good morning to you. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
There we are. Yes, we gotcha. Okay, so Allie, talk to us about opening day weekend. What kind of softball fans can expect as they head to Rosemont?
Sure. The AUSL we are so happy that the AUSL is launching here in Rosemont at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex, the stadium here. It's going to be an amazing weekend. Tomorrow we have a fan fest from 11:30 to 1:30 with live music, and legends of the game are going to be here giving meet and greets and signings. We're going to have food and drink and just a really festive atmosphere for fans to come out. And I think when the Talons take the Bandits tomorrow at 2 p.m. here, it's going to be a great show. We have the AUSL features some of the best athletes in the world. The softball players that you're going to see on this field are top-notch elite athletes. And I think coming out of the Women's College World Series right now, which is on ESPN, the excitement is certainly here, and we can't wait to continue that excitement tomorrow.
I love that. So the festival, who is welcome to come? What age groups are we looking at? Is it for everybody, young to old?
Softball fans are young and old. We welcome all families to come out and enjoy the game and enjoy the festival. I think we're really looking to bring fans here so that we're going to be here for a lot of games this summer. We're going to be here in Rosemont for the regular season for 11 games, and then we're going to be back out in Rosemont for a majority of August with our All-Star Cup. So we hope that people come out, enjoy the Fan Fest, and then really start to just come out on a regular basis and support AUSL and the teams that play here.
Speaking of supporting, can you tell us how Major League Baseball is supporting the AUSL?
Yeah, so last week it was announced that Major League Baseball made a strategic investment in the AUSL, the first ever investment that it's made in a women's professional sports league. And that's not only a financial investment, but a real strategic partnership to give visibility for the AUSL and our athletes across all of its platforms. So we're working very closely with the MLB to take advantage and leverage the opportunity to get in front of fans of the MLB and bring fans of Diamond Sports to the AUSL.
I love that. So where can we buy tickets?
You can buy tickets at theausl.com. Tickets are on sale now, and please follow us on all social platforms at the AUSL Official, where you can get up to speed on all of our athletes, all of our games, schedules, and where to buy tickets.
Could you tell us, just off the top of your head, when's the next time? If someone's busy this weekend, the family can't make it, when is the next time you guys are going to be in Rosemont?
We're here for the next few days, actually. So if you can't come out tomorrow, we're going to be here Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then we'll come back out a little bit later in the month. But the schedule is updated on AUSL.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allie. So you can catch all AUSL games this season streaming on Fox Chicago Plus.
There's a story about a very little-known toad and a very well-known bunny. Bad Bunny, in fact, and how he and the Brookfield Zoo are working together to save that toad from extinction.
I brought two animals for us to look at here. So this is one of the female Puerto Rican crested toads.
Mike Masellis of the Brookfield Zoo shows us 2 of the 30 Puerto Rican crested toads they keep here at the zoo as part of a breeding and conservation program that's been going on for years. Now this year they mated 2 pairs of the toads, which produced 1,762 tadpoles that have already been shipped to Puerto Rico and released into the wild.
We're well over 25,000 tadpoles released since we've been participating in the program. So it's good to know that the animals here can have an impact on the animals out in the wild as well.
Now, Brookfield is one of 20 zoos across the country involved in this conservation effort, which is critically needed because at one point the toads were thought to be extinct in Puerto Rico. They're the only species of toad native to the island, but have been decimated by habitat loss, climate change, and competition from invasive toad species. The crested toad and the efforts to save it were not very well known until this year, when Puerto Rican music superstar Bad Bunny featured them on his latest album. Also produced a short documentary about the loss of Puerto Rican culture and wildlife. That video featured an animated Puerto Rican crested toad that interacts with real-life characters, and it has suddenly made the toad an overnight cultural sensation.
Which is great because critically endangered animals, particularly small animals like toads and invertebrates and fishes, really need all the attention that they can get because so many of the endangered species out there in the world are maybe nondescript. Cute to me, I guess, but maybe not to everybody.
Miss Ella says he doesn't know whether Bad Bunny is aware of the breeding efforts and the conservation efforts here at the Brookfield Zoo, but he says he has a standing invitation to drop by and check it out.
We have a large off-island Puerto Rican population here, so I think it's just important to connect with the various communities in the Chicagoland area to feature animals that are kind of culturally significant as well.
Thanks for watching this Fox 32 Week in Review. See you again next week.